What is going on, YouTubeverse? John Stanek from Johnny Radio here, bringing you a very special video that I decided just on a whim to do here. I was thinking in my mind, what is the best year in music history? And, you know, I've talked about this time and time again throughout the 70s. The 70s are my favorite decade in music history, but to get to a single year is a very difficult task. And for a long time, I thought that one or two of the years in the 70s was my favorite, but that may not be the case. And I did my due diligence. I have a list on here with several different categories of things that I ran through to get to my answer. But before I get to this, I'm going to give you my answer. And this has nothing to do with nostalgia, although that may play a little bit of a factor in my decision, but it didn't go into any of the factors here. But my favorite year of all of music history thus far is, drum roll, and I'm going to give you a little hint here, see if you can guess it.
Back in the days when I was a teenager, before I had status and before I had a pager.
And if you didn't get it from that hint, let me give you a stronger hint right here. Okay, you got to know it by now. It's 1991. What an amazing year in music history. I mean, just from those two clips alone, one of the greatest hip-hop albums of all time and one of the greatest alternative rock, grunge, if you will, rock albums of all time. Actually, yeah, the greatest for sure. It is, you can't see it on this wall of perfect albums behind me, but it is on there up in that corner over there. There's also a second album on my wall of perfect albums from that year, and you can see a very little glimpse of it here. It's Achtung Baby by U2, and just for that reason alone, 10 out of 10 perfect albums in that year. Plus you got Pearl Jam's 10, which is not quite a 10 in my book. I give it a 9 out of 10. The Low End Theory by A Tribe Called Quest that you heard a snippet of there. Blood Sugar Sex Magik by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I mean, what an amazing, just those five alone, which, by the way, I'm going to be doing my top 5 albums of 1991 list next month and top 5 songs of 91. So be on the lookout for those videos where I go in more in depth on those records and some songs from those artists. But man, I mean, come on, just those records alone. Then you got, we're talking 7 career best albums from that year. The U2 album, I think Achtung is their best album of all time, above Joshua Tree. You've got Nirvana's Nevermind. As I mentioned, a lot of people would agree with me that that's their best. Pearl Jam's 10, their best. A Tribe Called Quest, again, their best. Red Hot Chili Peppers, again, their best. Metallica's Black Album, I think their best record. Some people may disagree with that. Seal, his debut album, I think to date is his best album. Then you got career best songs, also 7. One by U2, by far their best song of all time. My favorite song of all time, by the way. That plays a factor as well for my list here. Alive by Pearl Jam, Excursions by Tribe Called Quest, Under the Bridge by Red Hot Chili Peppers, Losing My Religion by REM from Out of Time, amazing song. Enter Sandman by Metallica, Crazy by Seal, again, just so many amazing songs of that year. Then you got best of the genre of all time. You got 2. You got, in my opinion, the best alternative rock album of all time, Achtung Baby. And then if you count grunge as a separate category, which I do, Nirvana's Nevermind, I think, is at the top of that list. Then you've got a classic debut in 10 by Pearl Jam. I mean, one of the greatest debut albums of all time. You've got the grunge genre being introduced. And man, when you were on the scene in 1991, by the way, most of these albums and songs didn't hit until the second half of 91. So it was like an explosion, this bomb going off, especially this grunge thing coming from Seattle with bands like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, all these groups that you never heard of before just coming onto the scene, and just like MTV exploding. Remember MTV? And this going well into 92, just this grunge phenomenon and this wave that was being ridden. And, U2 kind of mixed into that category. Them, as well as REM, alternative rock, was already kind of in full swing. But the grunge meeting the New York hip hop scene, as I mentioned, A Tribe Called Quest, also Black Sheep with The Choice Is Yours, such a cool song. Also Lenny Kravitz, who had already had his debut a few years earlier, his follow-up album Mama Said coming onto the scene. Such a strong record there. What else did I mention? Oh, Temple of the Dog, one of the greatest super groups of all time, Soundgarden and Pearl Jam. This album came out before Pearl Jam's debut, technically, with songs like Hunger Strike, Say Hello to Heaven, Call Me a Dog. I mean, just an incredible album. I didn't even factor that in to my stats here, but as I mentioned, one by U2, my favorite song of all time. So just so you know, as I mentioned, 70s, my favorite decade of all time. 1970 came a very close second to 1991 when I ran all the numbers on all this stuff. Very close. It was like a hair. I've said, I think, before on one of my prior videos that 1970 is my favorite year of all time in music history. Well, I've changed my mind. 1991 is it, followed closely by 1970, closely after that by 1969, and closely after that by 1971. So, I mean, technically speaking, the greatest run in music history of 3 years in a row, 69, 70 to 71, nothing beats that. I mean, just an amazing time period in music history. But as far as lone years, 1991 gets it, man. And, especially when you factor in, and I didn't factor this in, but thinking about the fact that prior to this, like late 80s and 1990 were not spectacular by any means in music history. I mean, you did have the Joshua Tree in 87. 87 was a pretty strong year, but 88 to 90, things were getting a little stale in popular music. But man, when this Seattle scene came and just blew everything out of the water, it was like such an amazing moment in pop history and pop culture. And I don't know since then if there's ever been in rock and roll anyway a movement as big or as important as there was in 1991. Rock music, I think it's safe to say, has declined as it goes in popular music anyway. But man, what an amazing year. And that is my answer, guys. So let me know in the comments below what you think. Let me know what you think about this video and of my opinion. If you strongly disagree, let me know. I'd love to hear it. But let me know, if you do agree, or if you think 91 was as momentous a year as I'm calling it. What were some of your favorite albums? What were some of your favorite artists, songs? I think I mentioned all the ones that were important to me. I know that there are other ones that I didn't even mention, like I believe Smashing Pumpkins had their debut record. My Bloody Valentine, the Loveless album, a lot of people love that one. So let me know. And guys, we've got top fives every Friday. We have album reviews. We've got top 100s that you can vote on as well. So if you like this and want to see more on Johnny Radio, be sure to like, subscribe, all that jazz. Thank you for watching. And as always, Viva La Vinyl. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and be sure to ring the bell for notifications so you can always see great quality content like you're seeing on the screen right now. Thank you so much for supporting Johnny Radio, and I'll see you soon.